Human, what is that third leg there? Can I touch it? The words echoed through the HSS Endeavour's main hall, freezing every human in their tracks. Walter Scott, lead xenobiologist, felt his face flush as the alien ambassador Fenris reached towards his groin. This was not how he'd imagined first contact would go. The year was 2155. After a grueling 50-year journey, humanity's first interstellar colony ship had finally reached Novus Terram. As they entered orbit, sensors detected an alien vessel. The Evora, an unknown species, initiated contact. Their delegation now stood before the assembled human crew, their biology a fascinating puzzle. Walter observed the aliens intently. They moved on two legs, but a third appendage emerged from their lower backs. This prehensile limb served as a manipulator, reminiscent of a tail or tentacle. More intriguingly, the Evora appeared hermaphroditic, their reproductive organs a blend of male and female characteristics. Fenris approached Walter, eyes roving over the human's form. The alien's curiosity was palpable. "Your structure is so different," Fenris said, circling Walter. "Where is your third leg? Is it retractable?" Before Walter could respond, Fenris reached out. Captain Elena Rodriguez reacted swiftly, stepping between them. "Ambassador Fenris, there seems to be a misunderstanding. Humans don't possess a third appendage." Confusion rippled through the Evora delegation. They exchanged glances, their third limbs twisting in what Walter assumed was a sign of agitation. Other aliens began to scrutinize the humans more closely, particularly their lower bodies. Elena turned to Walter. "Dr. Scott, please escort Ambassador Fenris to the conference room. We need to clear this up before it becomes a diplomatic incident." As Walter led Fenris away, he noticed more Evora ships entering the system on the ship's display screens. The alien presence was significant, far beyond a simple greeting party. The realization hit him. Novus Terram wasn't uninhabited. The human colonists would have to negotiate for their place on this world. In the conference room, Walter faced Fenris. The alien's third limb twitched with anticipation. "Now, human, please explain your anatomy. Where do you hide your mating appendage?" Walter took a deep breath. This was going to be a long, awkward conversation. As he prepared to delve into the intricacies of human biology, he couldn't help but wonder how this cultural misunderstanding would affect humanity's future on Novus Terram. The stakes were high, and one wrong move could jeopardize their entire colonization effort. Outside, the Endeavour hung in orbit, dwarfed by the growing fleet of Evora ships. The human dream of a new home among the stars now hinged on Walter's ability to navigate this delicate first contact. As he began his explanation, he silently prayed that his words wouldn't lead to an interstellar incident. The future of humanity's expansion into the cosmos depended on it. Walter took a deep breath and began his explanation. "Ambassador Fenris, human anatomy is quite different from your own. We don't have a third appendage like yours. Our reproductive organs are located in our pelvic region." Fenris's third limb twitched with curiosity. "Fascinating. But how do you mate without a proper appendage?" Walter activated a holographic display on the conference room table. "Let me show you." He pulled up detailed anatomical diagrams of human male and female bodies. Humans have two distinct sexes, male and female. Our reproductive organs are internal and external. As Walter delved into the intricacies of human biology, Fenris leaned in, utterly captivated. The alien's eyes widened as Walter explained the process of human reproduction, from courtship to conception. "Remarkable," Fenris said, third limb coiling and uncoiling in what Walter now recognized as a sign of intense interest. "Our process is quite different. Allow me to share." For the next hour, Fenris described Evora physiology in detail. Walter learned that the Evora were indeed hermaphroditic, with their third limb playing a crucial role in their mating rituals. The exchange was enlightening for both parties, and Walter found himself developing a genuine rapport with the alien ambassador. As their conversation wound down, Fenris placed a hand on Walter's arm. "Thank you, Walter. This has been most illuminating. I believe we've taken the first step toward true understanding between our species." Walter smiled, feeling a sense of accomplishment. "I couldn't agree more, Fenris. I look forward to learning more about your people." Meanwhile, aboard the Endeavour's bridge, Captain Elena Rodriguez called an emergency meeting with her senior staff. The ship's sensors had detected multiple Evora settlements on Novus Terram's surface, a discovery that threw their colonization plans into disarray. "Ladies and gentlemen," Elena addressed the assembled officers, her voice tight with concern. "We've got a situation. Novus Terram isn't the uninhabited paradise we were expecting. The Evora have an established civilization down there." Chief Engineer Marcus Chen spoke up. "Captain, if I may, I have a proposal." When Elena nodded, he continued, "We could use our terraforming equipment to transform an uninhabited island on Novus Terram. It would demonstrate our technological capabilities and potentially serve as a bargaining chip in negotiations with the Evora." Elena considered the idea. "It's risky, but it might just work. How quickly can you set it up?" "Give me 6 hours and I'll have a team ready to begin the process," Marcus replied confidently. "Make it happen," Elena ordered. "In the meantime, we need to prepare for formal negotiations with the Evora leadership." As Marcus and his team descended to the planet's surface in a shuttle, the Evora observed with growing interest. Within hours, the barren island began to transform. Lush vegetation sprouted from the once rocky ground, while atmospheric processors created a breathable environment. Zara, the Evora planetary governor, requested an immediate meeting with the Endeavor's command staff. Captain Rodriguez agreed, and soon they were gathered in the ship's main conference room. Zara's stern gaze swept over the assembled humans. "Your demonstration is impressive," she said, her third limb twitching nervously. "But we have concerns about the impact on our world's ecosystem." Elena nodded. "We understand your concerns, Governor Zara. Our intention is not to disrupt your way of life, but to find a way for our peoples to coexist peacefully on Novus Terram." Walter, who had been called in as a cultural liaison, noticed Zara's third limb curling in a pattern he now recognized as curiosity. Her eyes kept darting to him, lingering on his form in a way that reminded him of Fenris's initial fascination. As the negotiations progressed, Walter found himself increasingly involved, explaining human intentions and helping to bridge cultural gaps. He couldn't help but notice Zara's growing interest in him, her third limb often reaching out before being quickly retracted. While the diplomatic dance continued on the Endeavor, trouble was brewing among the human colonists. Jack Harper, a retired military officer, paced before a group of frustrated settlers in the ship's cargo bay. "We've traveled for 50 years to reach this planet," Jack declared, his voice low but intense. "Are we going to let some aliens tell us we can't have what we've sacrificed so much for?" Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Jack continued, "I say we start establishing our own outposts. Show these Evora that we mean business." Unbeknownst to Jack, Sarah Chen, the Endeavor's security chief, observed the gathering from the shadows. She tapped her communicator. "Captain, we have a situation developing among the colonists. Harper's rallying support for unauthorized planet-side excursions." Elena's voice crackled through the device. "Monitor the situation closely, but don't intervene unless absolutely necessary. We can't afford to show any cracks in our unity right now." As days passed, the situation grew more complex. Jack's group began making covert trips to the planet's surface, establishing small, hidden outposts. Meanwhile, Walter found himself spending more time with Fenris, their cultural exchanges evolving into deeper discussions about philosophy, art, and the nature of their respective species. One evening, as they walked through the Endeavor's arboretum, Fenris turned to Walter. "Your people's presence here has sparked great change among the Evora. Some fear it, but others, like myself, are excited by the possibilities." Walter nodded, feeling a warmth in his chest he couldn't quite explain. "I feel the same way, Fenris. There's so much we can learn from each other." Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent announcement over the ship's comm system. "All senior staff report to the bridge immediately." When Walter arrived, he found the bridge in a state of controlled chaos. Elena stood at the center, her face grim. "We've detected multiple ships entering the system. They're not Evora, and they're not ours." On the main view screen, a fleet of unknown vessels approached Novus Terram. Their sleek, otherworldly designs were unlike anything Walter had ever seen. Elena turned to her crew. "It seems our little demonstration has attracted some unexpected attention. We need to contact the Evora immediately. Like it or not, we're in this together now. As the unknown ships drew closer, Walter couldn't help but feel that the real challenges of their journey to Novus Terram were only just beginning. The future of human-Evora relations, and perhaps the fate of the planet itself, hung in the balance. As the unknown ships approached Novus Terram, a new crisis unfolded on the planet's surface. Jack Harper, the retired military officer, had been busy rallying discontented colonists to his cause. Over the past weeks, small groups had slipped away from the endeavor, establishing makeshift settlements on the alien world. Walter Scott stood in the ship's observation deck, watching the distant pinpricks of light that marked these unauthorized outposts. He sighed heavily, knowing the delicate balance they'd achieved with the Evora was now at risk. "Dr. Scott," Captain Elena Rodriguez's voice crackled over the intercom, "report to the bridge immediately." When Walter arrived, he found Elena deep in conversation with Governor Zara via holographic projection. The Evora leader's third limb twisted agitatedly as she spoke. "These human settlements are causing irreparable damage to our ecosystem," Zara said, her voice tinged with anger. "Our scientists have detected significant changes in the local flora and fauna. This must stop immediately." Elena's fists tight. "I understand, Governor. We had no knowledge of these unauthorized activities. I assure you, we'll handle this situation promptly." As the transmission ended, Elena turned to her senior staff. "This ends now. Security Chief Chen, prepare a team. We're evacuating those settlements by force if necessary." Sarah Chen nodded grimly. "Understood, Captain. We'll be ready within the hour." Walter spoke up. "Captain, let me go with them. Perhaps I can help mediate." Elena cut him off. "No, Walter. I need you here. Your rapport with the Evora might be our only chance at salvaging this situation if things go south." Hours later, Walter watched from the bridge as Sarah's team descended to the planet's surface. The operation quickly devolved into chaos. Jack Harper's followers, now calling themselves the New Earth Front, resisted violently. The skirmish played out on the main view screen, a silent tableau of struggle and pain. "This is a disaster," Elena muttered, her knuckles tightening as she gripped the command chair. Suddenly, Fenris burst onto the bridge, third limb thrashing wildly. "What is happening? Why are your people fighting each other?" Walter moved to intercept the agitated alien. "Fenris, please, let me explain." But before he could continue, Governor Zara's image appeared on the main screen. Her face was a mask of cold fury. "Captain Rodriguez, you have 48 hours to remove all human presence from Novus Terram. If you fail to comply, we will take action to forcibly expel you." The bridge fell silent as the transmission cut off. Elena slumped in her chair, the weight of the situation evident in her posture. "We need options," she said quietly. Walter and Fenris exchanged glances. "Captain," Walter began hesitantly, "Fenris and I have been studying Novus Terram's geography. There's a large, uninhabited continent on the far side of the planet. If we could present this as a potential home for human colonists, it might ease tensions." Elena's eyes lit up. "That's a start, but we need more than just land. We need to show the Evora we can coexist without harming their world." Chief Engineer Marcus Chen stepped forward. "Captain, what if we propose a joint terraforming project? We could demonstrate how our technologies can work together to create a sustainable environment for both species." As they discussed the proposal, alarms blared throughout the ship. Lieutenant Kira Yoshida's voice rang out from her station. "Captain, sensors are detecting multiple ships entering the system. They're not Evora, and they're not ours." Elena straightened in her chair. On screen. The view screen flickered to life, showing a fleet of sleek, otherworldly vessels approaching Novus Terram at high speed. "Send a message to Governor Zara," Elena ordered. "We have a new situation developing." As the crew scrambled to respond to this new threat, Walter noticed Fenris staring at the screen, third limb coiled tightly. "What is it, Fenris?" he asked. The alien turned to him, eyes wide. "Walter, I fear this changes everything. Our peoples must stand together, or we may not stand at all." In the days that followed, the situation on Novus Terram grew increasingly complex. While Elena and her team worked tirelessly to negotiate with the Evora and prepare for the approaching alien fleet, extremist factions on both sides threatened to unravel their efforts. Commander Vex, a hardline Evora military leader, began rallying forces to forcibly remove all human presence from the planet. Simultaneously, Jack Harper's New Earth front grew bolder, stockpiling weapons and preparing for war. Elena, recognizing the powder keg they were sitting on, devised a plan to neutralize both threats. She called Walter and Sarah to her ready room. "I'm sending you both on covert missions," she explained. "Sarah, I need you to infiltrate the New Earth front, gather intelligence, find their weaknesses, and prepare to dismantle their operation." Sarah nodded, her expression grim but determined. Elena turned to Walter. "You'll work with Fenris. Use your connection to gather information on Commander Vex's movement. We need to know their plans, their numbers, everything." As Walter and Sarah prepared for their missions, Marcus Chen's team on the small island made a startling discovery. The rapid terraforming had awakened something unexpected. A sentient, plant-like organism that emerged from vast underground fungal networks. Walter stood with Fenris, watching in awe as the strange luminescent creatures unfurled from the earth. "Incredible," he breathed. Fenris's third limb curled in a gesture Walter now recognized as agreement. "Your people's actions have awakened something ancient," the alien said softly. "This complicates matters further." Before Walter could respond, his communicator chirped. "Dr. Scott," Elena's voice came through, tense and hurried. "Report to my ready room immediately. Governor Zara is here with an unexpected proposal." Walter arrived to find Elena and Zara in what appeared to be a heated discussion. As he entered, both turned to look at him. "Dr. Scott," Zara said, her third limb twitching nervously, "I have a proposition that may secure peace between our peoples." Walter glanced at Elena, who nodded for him to listen. Zara continued, "I propose a political marriage between myself and a high-ranking human official. It would symbolize the union of our species and solidify our alliance in the face of this new threat." Walter stood speechless, his knees going weak from the implications. As he struggled to formulate a response, alarms blared throughout the ship. Lieutenant Yoshida's voice came over the intercom. "Captain, the alien fleet has increased speed. They'll reach Novus Terram within hours." Elena's face hardened. "We're out of time," she said, looking from Walter to Zara. "Whatever we decide, we must decide now. The future of both our peoples hangs in the balance." As the unknown ships drew ever closer, Walter felt the weight of history pressing down upon them all. The next few hours would determine not just the fate of the human colony, but the future of two species and their fragile new world. Walter's mind reeled from the implications of Governor Zara's proposal. A political marriage between species? The idea seemed absurd, yet he couldn't deny the potential diplomatic benefits. Before he could formulate a response, Captain Elena Rodriguez stepped forward, her face a mask of commitment. "Governor Zara, Dr. Scott, I appreciate the gravity of this suggestion, but we have more pressing matters at hand," Elena said, her voice steady despite the tension in the air. "The 48-hour ultimatum is nearly upon us, and we need to address both our peoples immediately." Elena tapped her communicator. "Lieutenant Yoshida, prepare a shipwide broadcast and contact the Evora leadership. We're going to address everyone simultaneously." Within minutes, the bridge of the HSS Endeavor had been transformed into an impromptu broadcast studio. Elena stood at the center, flanked by Walter and Governor Zara. The main view screen showed a split image. On one side, the faces of anxious human colonists. On the other, a sea of Evora, their third limbs twitching nervously. Elena took a deep breath and began. "People of Earth, citizens of Evora, I come to you today with a proposal that may shape the future of both our species on Novus Terram." She outlined the discovery of the large uninhabited continent and the plan for a collaborative terraforming project. As she spoke, Walter observed the reactions on the console. Many humans leaned forward, their expressions a mix of hope and skepticism. The Evora were harder to read, but he noticed a ripple of movement through the crowd, third limbs curling and uncurling in what he'd come to recognize as a sign of interest. "This is not just about finding a new home for humanity," Elena continued. It's about forging a partnership that will benefit both our species. Together, we can create a world where humans and Evora can coexist and thrive. As the broadcast concluded, the responses were immediate and varied. Messages flooded in from both human and Evora communities. Walter's communicator buzzed incessantly with updates from the ground teams. "Captain," Walter reported, scanning through the data, "it seems the majority of the colonists are cautiously optimistic about the proposal. However, Jack Harper and his followers are rejecting it outright." Governor Zara's third limb twisted in agitation. "I'm receiving similar reports from my people. Many see this as a path to peace, but Commander Vex and his faction are calling for military action against the humans." Elena's eyes hardened. "We need to move quickly. Marcus," she turned to the chief engineer, "I want you to begin preliminary scans of the new continent immediately. We need to show both sides that this project is viable." As Marcus and his team set to work, Walter found himself drawn into a flurry of activity. He coordinated with Evora scientists, exchanging data and theories about the potential terraforming process. Hours blended into days as they worked tirelessly, the looming threat of the approaching alien fleet adding urgency to their efforts. It was during one of these marathon research sessions that Marcus made a startling discovery. He burst into the makeshift lab, his eyes wide with excitement. "Walter, you need to see this," he said, pulling up a holographic display. "We've detected what appear to be artificial structures beneath the continent's surface. I think we've found ruins of an ancient civilization." The news spread quickly, igniting the imaginations of both humans and Evora. A joint research team was quickly assembled, with Walter leading the human contingent and Fenris representing the Evora. As they delved deeper into the ruins, Walter found himself working side by side with Fenris, their earlier cultural exchanges evolving into a true scientific partnership. They pored over ancient glyphs, debated theories, and marveled at the advanced technology they uncovered. "These energy signatures," Fenris said one day, third limb curled in concentration, "they're unlike anything in Evora records. Could your people have encountered something similar?" Walter shook his head, equally puzzled. "Nothing this advanced. But look at this," he pointed to a series of symbols. "Doesn't this resemble a star chart?" As they worked, Walter noticed a change in the dynamics between the human and Evora scientist. The initial awkwardness had given way to genuine camaraderie, with both species learning from each other's unique perspectives and abilities. Meanwhile, aboard the Endeavor, Sarah Chen's covert operation was bearing fruit. She managed to infiltrate the inner circle of the New Earth front, gaining access to encrypted communications. What she found sent shockwaves through the ship's command. "Captain," Sarah reported, her voice low and urgent, "Jack Harper has been in contact with elements of the approaching alien fleet. It seems they're not a unified force, but a diverse group with their own agendas." Elena's face hardened at the news. "This complicates things. We need to accelerate our plans for the joint settlement. It may be our only chance to present a united front when these aliens arrive." As the preparations for the terraforming project gained momentum, a new ethical dilemma arose. The plant-like organisms discovered on the small island were exhibiting rapid growth and adaptation. Marcus proposed using them to accelerate the terraforming process, but concerns about their potential sentience sparked heated debates among both human and Evora scientists. Amidst this scientific and ethical turmoil, Governor Zara approached Elena with a revised proposal. "Captain," she said, her third limb moving in what Elena now recognized as a gesture of respect, "I believe I was hasty in suggesting a political marriage. Instead, I propose a formal alliance between our species, sealed by an exchange of genetic material for scientific study." Elena nodded, relief evident on her face. "That's a generous offer, Governor. I believe it will go a long way in fostering understanding between our peoples." As they hammered out the details of this new alliance, alarms blared throughout the ship. The alien fleet had entered the outer reaches of the Novus Terram system. Elena and Zara exchanged glances, a silent understanding passing between them. They had come too far to let their newfound partnership falter now. "Prepare a joint welcome message," Elena ordered, her voice firm, "and alert our military forces. We'll greet these newcomers with open arms, but we'll be ready for anything. As the crew scrambled to prepare for first contact with the unknown aliens, chaos erupted in the Endeavor's main engineering section. Jack Harper, desperate and cornered, had launched a coup attempt. Sarah Chen's voice crackled over the comm system, punctuated by the sound of weapons fire. "Captain, Harper and his followers have taken control of engineering. We're holding them off, but we need backup." Elena's mind raced, weighing options as multiple crises converged. The fate of human-Evora relations, the mystery of the ancient ruins, the approaching alien fleet, and now an internal threat to her own ship, all hung in the balance. She turned to Walter and Governor Zara, her expression grim but determined. "It seems we'll be facing these challenges sooner than we expected. Are you with me?" Walter nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. Beside him, Governor Zara's third limb extended in a gesture of solidarity. Whatever came next, they would face it together. Together. Walter nodded, his heart made with dedication. "Always, Captain." Elena strode toward the bridge, her mind already formulating a plan. "Lieutenant Yoshida, coordinate with Governor Zara's forces. Position our combined fleet in orbit around Novus Terram." As the human and Evora ships moved into formation, Walter marveled at the sight on the monitor. Sleek human vessels maneuvered alongside the organic curves of Evora craft, forming an impressive defensive array. "Captain, the alien fleet has slowed its approach," Yoshida reported, her fingers flying over the console. "They seem hesitant." Elena allowed herself a small smile. "Good. Our show of unity is giving them pause. Now, let's deal with our internal problem." She turned to Sarah Chen, who stood at attention, her tactical gear already in place. "Chief Chen, take your team and retake engineering. Use non-lethal methods if possible. We need Harper alive to answer for his actions." Sarah nodded sharply. "Understood, Captain. We'll get it done." As Sarah and her team moved out, Walter's communicator buzzed. It was Fenris. "Dr. Scott, you must come to the surface immediately. We've made a breakthrough with the ruins." Walter glanced at Elena, who nodded her approval. "Go. We need every advantage we can get." Minutes later, Walter found himself stepping into the cavernous chamber of the underground complex. Fenris greeted him, the Evora's third limb vibrating with excitement. "Look at this, Walter," Fenris said, guiding him to a massive control panel covered in intricate symbols. "We believe this is some kind of planetary defense system." Walter's eyes widened as he scanned the ancient technology. "Incredible, but can we make it work?" As if in answer, Marcus Chen's voice crackled over the comm. "I think we can, but we'll need a hell of a power source." Walter's mind raced, connecting dots. The plant organisms we discovered, their energy output was off the charts. Could we use them? Fenris's third limb curled in agreement. "A brilliant suggestion. Let us begin immediately." Aboard the Endeavor, Sarah Chen pressed her back against the bulkhead, the sounds of Harper's ranting filtering through the sealed door of the reactor control room. "Harper, this is your last chance," she called out. "Surrender peacefully, and you'll be treated fairly." "Fairness?" Harper's voice was manic. "There's no fairness in giving away our future to aliens. I'll destroy this ship before I let that happen." Sarah signaled to her team, then spoke into her comm. "Bridge, initiate power fluctuation sequence on my mark." She took a deep breath. 3, 2, 1, mark. The lights flickered and Sarah heard the telltale whine of systems powering down. In that moment of darkness, her team breached the door. There was a brief scuffle, then silence. "Target secured," Sarah reported, relief evident in her voice. "Engineering is ours, Captain." On the bridge, Elena allowed herself a moment of satisfaction before turning her attention back to the view screen. The alien fleet had come to a complete stop, just outside Novus Terram's orbit. "Captain," Yoshida called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the lead ship." Elena straightened her uniform. "Put it through." The view screen flickered to life, revealing a being unlike any Elena had seen before. Its form seemed to shift and shimmer, as if not fully committed to a single shape. I am Admiral Zhen of the Galactic Confederation, the being announced, its voice resonating with harmonic overtones. We request permission to send a diplomatic envoy to discuss the situation on Novus Terram. Elena exchanged glances with Governor Zara, who had joined her on the bridge. The Evora leader's third limb twitched in what Elena now recognized as a sign of cautious agreement. We accept your request, Admiral, Elena replied. We'll transmit coordinates for a neutral meeting site shortly. As preparations for the diplomatic meeting began, Walter and the research team on the surface worked feverishly to bring the ancient defense system online. Marcus Chen supervised the integration of the plant organisms into the power grid, his face illuminated by the pulsing bioluminescence. Incredible, Marcus muttered as he watched the energy readings spike. These life forms are producing more power than we could have imagined. With a low hum that seemed to resonate through the planet itself, the ancient machinery stirred to life. A shimmering energy field began to form in the atmosphere above, visible even from the surface. As Admiral Zhen's shuttle descended through the newly formed shield, Walter couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. The sleek craft touched down in a clearing near the ruins, where a hastily constructed meeting area awaited. Elena and Governor Zara stood side by side as Admiral Zhen emerged from the shuttle. The alien's form continued to shift subtly, as if adapting to the planet's environment in real time. Captain Rodriguez, Governor Zara, Admiral Zhen greeted them, its voice carrying a melodic quality. I must commend you on your impressive display of unity and technological prowess. As they seated themselves around the meeting table, Admiral Zhen began to explain the true nature of their arrival. The Galactic Confederation has been monitoring this sector for emerging spacefaring species. Your handling of potential threats and your ability to cooperate have exceeded our expectations. Elena leaned forward, intrigued. Are you saying this was all a test? Admiral Zhen's form shimmered in what might have been the alien equivalent of a nod. Indeed, and based on your performance, we would like to offer both humans and Evora provisional membership in the Galactic Confederation. The implications of this offer hung in the air. Access to advanced technology, protection from unknown threats, but also new responsibilities and regulations. As Elena and Zara contemplated this unexpected turn of events, a gentle tremor ran through the ground. From a nearby patch of earth, a cluster of the luminescent plant-like organisms emerged, their tendrils weaving together to form a vaguely humanoid shape. A collective gasp went up from the assembled group as the plant being spoke, its voice a harmonious blend of rustling leaves and chiming crystals. We are Gaia, it announced, the awakened consciousness of this world. We too must have a voice in these negotiations. Admiral Zhen's form rippled with what seemed to be surprise and delight. Fascinating. It seems Novus Terram holds more wonders than we anticipated. Elena looked from the shimmering form of Admiral Zhen to the luminous presence of Gaia, then to Governor Zara's twitching third limb. The future of not just two, but three species now hung in the balance. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of this moment in history. Well then, Elena said, her voice steady despite the enormity of the situation, it seems we have much to discuss. Discuss, Elena said, gesturing for everyone to take a seat at the hastily arranged meeting table. As the negotiations began, it quickly became apparent that the situation was far more complex than anyone had anticipated. The inclusion of the Gaia Collective, represented by the luminous plant being, added an entirely new dimension to the talks. We must consider the rights of all sentient beings on Novus Terram, Admiral Zhen stated, its form shimmering with each word. The Galactic Confederation values diversity and cooperation above all else. Governor Zara's third limb twitched in agreement. The Evora have already established settlements here. We cannot simply abandon our progress. Elena leaned forward, her brow furrowed in concentration. And the human colonists have invested significant resources in terraforming technology. We need to find a way to balance everyone's needs. The plant being that called itself Gaia rustled softly. We are the original inhabitants of this world. Our consciousness spans the entire planet. Any changes to the ecosystem affect us directly. As the talks continued, tensions began to rise. Each group presented compelling arguments for their right to colonize and utilize the planet's resources. The humans emphasized their advanced technology, while the Evora pointed to their existing settlements. Gaia, communicating through a series of melodic chimes and rustling leaves, stressed their role as the planet's caretakers. Recognizing the need for expert input, Elena made a call to the Endeavor. "This is Captain Rodriguez. I need Dr. Alexander Hartley to join us immediately. His expertise in xenobotany could be crucial in understanding the Gaia Collective." Within the hour, Dr. Hartley arrived at the meeting site, his eyes wide with wonder as he took in the plant being's appearance. "Fascinating," he murmured, approaching Gaia with reverence. "I've never seen anything like this before." As Dr. Hartley began his analysis, Walter and Fenris made a startling discovery in the ruins. "Captain," Walter's voice crackled over the comm, "you need to see this. We've uncovered an entire underground city." Elena excused herself from the negotiations and made her way to the ruins, accompanied by Admiral Zhen and Governor Zara. What they found below the surface took their breath away. The underground city stretched for miles, its architecture a blend of organic forms and crystalline structures. But what truly caught their attention was the technology scattered throughout the complex. "This is incredible," Admiral Zhen said, its form rippling with excitement. "Some of this technology surpasses even what we have in the Galactic Confederation." The discovery shifted the dynamics of the negotiation. Control over this advanced technology became a central point of contention, with each group arguing for their right to study and utilize it. Back on the Endeavor, Marcus Chen worked tirelessly to integrate some of the newly discovered technology with the ship's systems. His efforts paid off when he achieved a breakthrough in energy production. "Captain," Marcus reported, his face glowing with pride on the screen, "I think we've solved our resource scarcity problems. This new energy system could power all our operations indefinitely." As the summit on Novus Terram continued, news of the alien contact and potential joining of a galactic confederation reached Earth. The response was immediate and chaotic. Captain Rodriguez, a stern-faced Earth official, appeared on the communication screen. "We demand representation in these negotiations. The future of humanity is at stake." Elena sighed, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. She now had to balance the interests of the colonists, Earth governments, and their new alien allies. The already tense situation escalated when the Gaia Collective decided to demonstrate their power. Without warning, the plant life across Novus Terram began to grow at an alarming rate. Forests sprang up in minutes, vines covered buildings, and flowers bloomed in every direction. "This is who we are," Gaia's voice resonated across the landscape. "We are the planet itself." The display served as both a warning and a reminder of the collective's importance to the ecosystem. It also presented new challenges for the colonists, who found their carefully planned settlements suddenly overgrown. Admiral Zhen, observing the unfolding events with interest, approached Elena and Governor Zara. "We have seen similar situations on other worlds within the Confederation," he explained. "I can share some case studies that might be helpful, but ultimately, you must find your own solution." As the negotiations reached a critical point, a series of explosions rocked the colony. Alarms blared as reports of attacks on key locations flooded in. "Captain!" Sarah Chen's voice cut through the chaos. "We have multiple hostile groups attacking critical infrastructure. It looks like a coordinated effort by human and Evora extremists." Elena's mind raced as she assessed the situation. "Chief Chen, form a joint human-Evora security team. Neutralize the threat, but remember, minimal damage to the environment. We can't risk harming the Gaia Collective." As Sarah led her team to counter the attacks, she found herself facing an unexpected challenge. The rapid growth caused by the Gaia Collective's earlier demonstration had transformed the landscape. Familiar paths were now overgrown, and new obstacles appeared at every turn. "Team, adapt to the terrain," Sarah commanded, ducking under a low-hanging branch. "Use the plant life to your advantage. Remember your non-lethal tactics." While the security team dealt with the immediate threat, Dr. Hartley made a groundbreaking discovery about the Gaia Collective's biology. He burst into the negotiation chamber, his eyes wide with excitement. "Captain, Governor, everyone, "You need to hear this," he said, catching his breath. "The Gaia Collective isn't just these visible plant beings. Their consciousness is distributed across the entire planet through a complex root network. Any major changes to the surface could potentially harm them." This revelation sent shockwaves through the negotiations. The ethical implications of terraforming and colonization suddenly became even more complicated. As Elena absorbed this new information, she began to see the situation in a new light. The traditional approach to colonization clearly wouldn't work here. They needed something radically different. "What if," she said slowly, her mind racing with possibilities, "we create a symbiotic relationship between all of us, humans, Evora, and the Gaia Collective, working together to build something entirely new?" Her words hung in the air as everyone considered the implications. It was an unprecedented idea, one that would require overcoming deep-seated prejudices and fears on all sides. "It won't be easy," Elena continued, looking from the shimmering form of Admiral Zhen to the luminous presence of Gaia, then to Governor Zara's thoughtful expression. "But I believe it's our best chance for a peaceful and prosperous future on Novus Terram." As the group began to discuss the practicalities of this new approach, Elena knew they were on the brink of something truly revolutionary. The path ahead would be challenging, requiring diplomacy, innovation, and a willingness to embrace the unknown. But as she looked around at the diverse group of beings gathered together, she felt a glimmer of hope. Perhaps here, on this distant world, they could forge a new way of coexistence that could serve as a model for the entire galaxy. As the negotiations progressed, Dr. Alexander Hartley continued his research on the Gaia Collective. His fascination with the plant-like organisms led him to take increasingly bold risks in his experiments. During one such session, he accidentally ingested a small portion of the luminescent flora. The effect was immediate and profound. Dr. Hartley collapsed, his body racked with convulsions. Elena and Governor Zara rushed to his side, calling for medical assistance. "What happened?" Elena demanded, cradling the scientist's head. Dr. Hartley's skin began to take on a greenish tint, his veins glowing with an otherworldly light. I can feel it," he gasped, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and wonder. "The planet, it's alive!" Over the next few days, Dr. Hartley's transformation became the talk of the colony. His skin had settled into a pale green hue, and he reported an ability to photosynthesize, drawing energy directly from Novus Terram's sun. "It's extraordinary," he explained to a captivated audience of human and Evora scientists. "I can sense the flow of nutrients through the soil, the growth patterns of the flora. It's as if I've become a living bridge between our biology and the Gaia Collective." News of Dr. Hartley's transformation spread quickly, inspiring a group of volunteers from both human and Evora populations. They approached Elena and Governor Zara with a bold proposal. "We want to undergo the same process," announced Lila Chen, a young botanist. "If we can create a group of individuals adapted to live in harmony with the Gaia Collective, it could be the key to true symbiosis." Elena exchanged a look with Governor Zara. The Evora leader's third limb twitched thoughtfully. "This is unprecedented," Zara said, "but it may be our best chance for peaceful coexistence." With careful oversight from Dr. Hartley and a team of xenobiologists, the volunteer group began their transformation. They came to be known as the symbiotes, their bodies gradually adapting to incorporate aspects of the Gaia Collective's biology. As the symbiotes adjusted to their new physiology, Marcus Chen made a breakthrough in the ancient ruins. Working alongside Evora scientists, he uncovered a chamber filled with advanced terraforming technology. "This is incredible," Marcus exclaimed, his eyes gleaming with excitement as he examined the alien devices. "With some modifications, we could use this to create self-sustaining biodomes. We could house multiple ecosystems without disrupting the planet's overall balance." The development of the biodomes progressed rapidly, with Marcus and his team working around the clock. The structures began to dot the landscape of Novus Terram, each one a miniature world unto itself. However, not everyone was pleased with these developments. Security Chief Sarah Chen uncovered a plot by extremist factions to sabotage the Symbiosis Project. "Captain," Sarah reported, her face grim on the comm screen. We've intercepted communications indicating planned attacks on the biodomes and the symbiote program. We need to act fast. Elena nodded, her teeth clenched. Assemble a joint task force. We need to neutralize this threat before it can undo everything we've accomplished. Sarah led her team across Novus Terram's ever-changing landscape, racing against time to thwart the extremist plans. The lush foliage that now covered much of the planet's surface provided both cover and obstacles, forcing the security team to adapt their tactics on the fly. As the human and Evora colonists worked to build their new society, the Gaia Collective responded in kind. Massive organic structures began to form across the planet, blending seamlessly with the ancient technology discovered in the ruins. These living habitats provided unique spaces for colonists, perfectly attuned to the planet's rhythms. Admiral Zhen, observing the rapid progress and innovative solutions being implemented on Novus Terram, approached Elena with a proposal. Captain Rodriguez, the alien's form shimmered with what Elena had come to recognize as excitement. The Galactic Confederation is impressed by your approach to colonization. We'd like to offer Novus Terram a special status within our ranks. Elena raised an eyebrow. What kind of status? Autonomy in your internal affairs, Admiral Zhen explained, while still receiving protection and resources from the Confederation. Your world could serve as a model for future colonization efforts throughout the galaxy. As Elena considered the implications of this offer, she noticed Walter Scott and Fenris approaching. The human and Evora had grown close over the past weeks, their shared experiences forging a deep bond. Captain, Walter began, his hand intertwined with Fenris's third limb, we've made a decision. We want to volunteer for the symbiote program, together. Elena smiled, recognizing the significance of their choice. Your transformation could be a powerful symbol of unity between our peoples, she said. Are you sure you're ready for this? Fenris nodded, his bioluminescent spots pulsing with tenacity. We are ready to embrace this new future, together. As Walter and Fenris began their transformation, a delegation from Earth arrived to observe the changes on Novus Terram. Their timing couldn't have been more fortuitous, as their arrival coincided with a massive flowering event triggered by the Gaia Collective. The Earth officials stepped out of their shuttle, their eyes wide with wonder as they took in the breathtaking display of color and life that surrounded them. Flowers of impossible shapes and hues bloomed as far as the eye could see, their perfume filling the air with an intoxicating sweetness. Welcome to Novus Terram, Elena greeted them, gesturing to the vibrant landscape. As you can see, we've made some changes since your last report. The leader of the delegation, a stern-faced woman named Director Yamamoto, surveyed the scene with a mixture of awe and skepticism. Indeed, Captain Rodriguez, it seems we have much to discuss. As Elena led the Earth delegation on a tour of the new colonies, the newly transformed symbiotes made a startling discovery. They found they could communicate directly with the Gaia Collective through a form of bioelectric signaling, allowing for rapid information exchange and coordination between all species on the planet. Lila Chen, one of the first symbiotes, demonstrated this ability to the amazed onlookers. Her eyes closed in concentration, and suddenly, a nearby cluster of luminescent flora began to pulse in a complex pattern. They're sharing information about weather patterns, Lila explained, her voice filled with wonder. They can sense a storm system forming over the eastern continent. This new form of communication proved invaluable when a massive solar flare threatened to destabilize Novus Terram's atmosphere. The combined efforts of human technology, Evora knowledge, and the Gaia Collective's planetary-scale response successfully shielded the planet from harm. As the danger passed, Marcus Chen unveiled his latest innovation, a network of transportation tubes that utilize the planet's natural energy fields. These eco-friendly transit systems connected the various settlements and habitats, allowing for rapid travel across Novus Terram. The success of the Novus Terram project did not go unnoticed by the wider galactic community. Soon, delegations from other species within the Galactic Confederation began to arrive, eager to study the unique symbiotic society that had formed on this once contentious world. Elena found herself at the center of a whirlwind of diplomacy, technology, and biological innovation. As she looked out over the transformed landscape of Novus Terram, she couldn't help but feel a sense of pride in what they had accomplished. Yet, even as Novus Terram flourished, new challenges loomed on the horizon. The increased attention from the galactic community brought with it new pressures and potential conflicts. Elena knew that maintaining the delicate balance they had achieved would require constant vigilance and adaptation. As the sun set on another day on Novus Terram, casting the bioluminescent flora in a soft ethereal glow, Elena gathered her team for a meeting. They had come so far, but their journey was just getting started. The true test of their new society was just beginning, and the eyes of the galaxy were upon them. As Elena concluded the meeting, an urgent message flashed across her comm device. Her eyes widened as she read the contents, her face paling visibly. "Captain, what is it?" Marcus Chen asked, noticing her sudden change in demeanor. Elena took a deep breath, steeling herself before addressing the room. "We've just received word from our long-range sensors. An asteroid, approximately 10 kilometers in diameter, has been detected on a collision course with Novus Terram." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Governor Zara's bioluminescent spots pulsed rapidly, a sign of distress in the Evora. "How long do we have?" she asked, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "According to initial calculations, impact is estimated in 3 months, Elena replied, her mind already racing through potential solutions. "We need to mobilize every resource at our disposal. This threat affects all of us, humans, Evora, and the Gaia Collective." Without hesitation, Elena began assembling a crisis management team. She tapped Marcus to lead a group of human and Evora scientists in adapting the ancient technology they'd discovered in the ruins. Their goal, to create a planetary defense system capable of deflecting the incoming asteroid. As Marcus and his team pored over schematics and energy readings from the alien devices, Dr. Alexander Hartley made a startling discovery. While interfacing with one of the artifacts, he found that his transformed physiology allowed him to connect directly with the technology on a level previously thought impossible. "It's extraordinary," Hartley explained, his green-tinged skin glowing faintly as he demonstrated his newfound ability. "I can perceive the energy flows, the intricate pathways of power. With this connection, we can integrate the defense systems more efficiently with Novus Terram's natural energy grid." Elena watched in amazement as Hartley's fingers danced over the alien console, streams of data flooding the surrounding screens. What had once been seen as an accidental mutation was now proving to be their greatest asset in the fight for survival. While Marcus and Hartley worked on the defensive technology, Security Chief Sarah Chen coordinated with Evora military forces to prepare for the worst-case scenario. Under her guidance, construction began on a network of underground shelters. "We're incorporating both our most advanced tech and organic components provided by the Gaia Collective," Sarah explained during a progress briefing. "These shelters will be self-sustaining ecosystems, capable of preserving life even if the surface becomes uninhabitable." As the deadline approached, the unified society of Novus Terram worked tirelessly. The symbiotes, with their unique connection to the Gaia Collective, played a crucial role in gathering and processing vast amounts of data about the planet's resources and energy systems. Lila Chen, one of the first symbiotes, stood at the heart of a massive bioelectric network, her eyes closed in concentration as she communicated with the planet itself. "The Gaia Collective is mobilizing," she reported, her voice tinged with awe. "They're creating massive organic structures to help absorb and redistribute potential impact shockwaves." As the asteroid entered the final approach, Elena gave the order to activate the planetary defense system. Massive energy beams, powered by the combined efforts of ancient technology, Evora engineering, and the Gaia Collective's organic components, lanced out into space. The initial barrage struck the asteroid, altering its trajectory, but not enough to prevent impact entirely. Elena's heart sank as she watched the projections on the main view screen. "We need to do more," she muttered, her mind racing for solutions. It was Walter Scott and Fenris who stepped forward with a daring plan. "Captain," Walter said, his skin now a mottled green like Hartley's, "Fenris and I can lead a space mission to place additional deflection devices directly on the asteroid's surface." Elena hesitated, knowing the extreme danger such a mission would entail. But as she looked into the determined faces of the human Evora couple, she realized they might be the planet's best hope. "Go," she said simply, "and come back alive." As Walter and Fenris's ship launched towards the approaching threat, Dr. Hartley made a grim discovery. "The strain on our systems is destabilizing the planet's core," he reported, his face etched with worry. "If we don't find a way to channel this excess energy, we could tear Novus Terram apart from the inside." Without hesitation, Hartley interfaced directly with the ancient technology, using his body as a conduit to redirect the surging power into the Gaia Collective's network. Energy crackled around him as he strained to control the immense forces coursing through his transformed body. On the asteroid's surface, Walter and Fenris worked frantically to place the deflection devices. Debris rained down around them as the massive rock began to fragment under the assault from the planet below. "Almost there," Walter grunted, securing the final device. Back on Novus Terram, symbiotes across the planet joined in a collective effort to stabilize the energy flow, creating a planet-wide web of bioelectric power. The strain was immense, but they held firm, their combined will channeling the destructive forces into more constructive path. As the asteroid entered the atmosphere, the full might of Novus Terram's defenses was brought to bear. The deflection devices on the surface activated in concert with the energy beams from the planet, creating a powerful gravitational field that tore at the cosmic intruder. The sky lit up with the fury of 1,000 suns as the asteroid broke apart. Smaller fragments rained down, creating new impact craters across the landscape, but the majority of the threat had been neutralized. In the control center, Elena watched with held breath as the last of the asteroid fragments burned up in the atmosphere. The planet had been saved, but at what cost? She turned to see Dr. Hartley collapse, his body smoking from the energy that had coursed through him. As the immediate danger passed, the full extent of the changes to Novus Terram became apparent. New mountain ranges had formed from the cosmic collision, vast areas had been transformed by the Gaia Collective's defensive measures, and the very shape of continents had been altered. Elena stood at the viewport of the command center, surveying the altered landscape of their world. The unified society of Novus Terram had faced its greatest challenge and emerged victorious, but the true test was just beginning. How would they adapt to this new reality? What other challenges awaited them in the vastness of space? As reports of their success began to spread throughout the Galactic Confederation, Elena knew that the eyes of the galaxy were upon them once more. Novus Terram had become more than just an experiment in colonization. It was now a testament to the power of cooperation between diverse species, a beacon of hope in a vast and often hostile universe. The captain took a deep breath, steeling herself for the challenges ahead. The asteroid crisis had changed everything, but one thing remained constant: the indomitable spirit of unity that had brought them this far. With renewed purpose, Elena turned to address her team, ready to lead them into the next chapter of their extraordinary journey. As the dust settled from the asteroid crisis, Novus Terram entered a period of rapid transformation. The landscape, forever altered by the cosmic impact, became a canvas for renewal and growth. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood atop a newly formed hill, surveying the bustling activity below. Massive biodomes sprouted from the impact craters, their translucent surfaces gleaming in the sunlight. Chief Engineer Marcus Chen directed teams of workers as they integrated salvaged asteroid fragments into the structure's foundations. "It's ironic," Marcus said, joining Elena on the hilltop. "The very thing that nearly destroyed us is now helping us rebuild stronger than ever." Elena nodded, her eyes fixed on the horizon where crystalline formations intertwined with lush vegetation. The Gaia Collective had wasted no time in reclaiming the scarred land, creating alien yet beautiful habitats that defied easy categorization. "How's the integration coming along?" she asked. Marcus grinned, his eyes alight with enthusiasm. "Better than we could have hoped. The mineral composition of the fragments is perfect for reinforcing our new habitats. We're not just rebuilding, we're evolving our entire infrastructure." As they descended the hill, Elena's comm device chimed. Dr. Alexander Hartley's face appeared on the screen, his skin now a vibrant green with small leaves protruding from his cheekbones. "Captain, we've made a breakthrough," Hartley said, his voice tinged with excitement and a hint of something else. Uncertainty, perhaps? "I need you to come to the lab immediately." When Elena arrived at the research facility, she found Hartley standing in a sunbeam, his arms outstretched. The leaves on his skin quivered slightly, absorbing the light. "Watch this," he said, closing his eyes in concentration. A moment later, a nearby console sprang to life, data streaming across its screen. "I'm not just interfacing with technology anymore," Hartley explained. "I'm generating power through photosynthesis and channeling it directly into our systems. The possibilities are, well, they're beyond anything we've imagined." Elena stared, amazed and slightly unsettled. "Alex, this is incredible, but we need to understand the full implications. I'm putting together a research team to study these changes. Walter and Fenris will lead the investigation." Hartley nodded, a mix of relief and apprehension crossing his features. "Of course, Captain. We're in uncharted territory here. I'll submit to whatever tests they deem necessary." As Elena left the lab, she couldn't shake a sense of unease. The lines between human, Evora, and the Gaia Collective were blurring more each day. She made a mental note to discuss the situation with Governor Zara. Across the colony, Security Chief Sarah Chen stood in the control room of the new Planetary Defense Network. Holographic displays showed real-time data from both technological and organic sensors spread across Novus Terram. "The system is online and fully operational," Sarah reported as Elena entered. "We've got eyes and ears everywhere, thanks to our integration with the Gaia Collective. Any potential threat will be detected and analyzed before it can pose a real danger." Elena studied the displays, impressed by the seamless fusion of human ingenuity and alien biology. "Excellent work, Sarah. Let's hope we never need to use it at full capacity again." As they discussed the finer points of the security system, a commotion outside caught their attention. Through the window, they saw a crowd gathering in the central plaza. At its heart stood a man with a commanding presence, his voice carrying across the open space. "That's Victor Reeves," Sarah said, her expression darkening. "He's been stirring up discontent among some of the human colonists. Claims we're losing our humanity by integrating too closely with alien life." Elena frowned, watching as Reeves gesticulated passionately to his rapt audience. "Keep an eye on him, but don't intervene unless absolutely necessary. We can't afford to create martyrs." Later that evening, Elena met with Governor Zara in her office. The Evora's bioluminescent spots pulsed slowly, indicating deep thought. "Captain, I believe I have a solution to ease the tensions arising from our continued integration," Zara said, her multifaceted eyes fixed on Elena. "I propose to undergo a modified symbiosis process myself, incorporating elements of human and Gaia genetics into my Evora biology." Elena's eyes widened. "Governor, are you sure? The risks—" "Are considerable, yes," Zara interrupted gently, "but so are the potential benefits. We must show our people that this integration is not something to be feared, but embraced." Before Elena could respond, her comm device buzzed urgently. Admiral Jen's face appeared on the screen, the backdrop indicating he was aboard a ship in orbit. "Captain Rodriguez, Governor Zara," he greeted them formally. "In light of Novus Terram's recent triumph over adversity, the Galactic Confederation has decided to establish a permanent embassy on your world. I'll be planetside within the hour to discuss the details." As Elena and Zara made their way to the landing pad to greet the Admiral, neither could have predicted the chain of events that would be set in motion by the embassy's construction. Deep beneath the ancient ruins that dotted the landscape, something stirred, awakening from a slumber that had lasted millennia. The future of Novus Terram, and perhaps the galaxy itself, was about to take an unexpected turn. As Elena pondered the implications of the Admiral's impending arrival, alarms blared throughout the colony. She rushed to the command center, where Dr. Hartley's face filled the main screen. "Captain, something's happening," he gasped, leaves quivering on his skin. "The Gaia Collective, it's pulling me in." Elena watched in horror as Hartley's body began to sink into the ground, tendrils of vegetation wrapping around his limbs. Hold on, Alex, we're coming. She assembled a team on the spot, Walter Scott, Fenris, and Governor Zara. They raced to Hartley's location, only to find a pulsating mass of plant matter where the scientist had stood. We need to go in after him, Elena declared, her voice steady despite the fear gripping her heart. Walter nodded, his mottled green skin glistening. Fenris and I can interface with the Gaia network. We'll guide you through. Governor Zara stepped forward, her bioluminescent spots flashing rapidly. I'll join you. My Evora physiology might provide insights we need. They linked hands, forming a circle around the writhing vegetation. Walter and Fenris closed their eyes, concentrating deeply. Suddenly, Elena felt a jolt of energy course through her body. The world around them dissolved into a swirling vortex of colors and abstract shapes. They found themselves in a dreamlike landscape, data streams flowing like rivers through fields of pulsating light. Elena marveled at the beauty and complexity of the Gaia Collective's neural network. This way, Fenris called, pointing toward a dark, pulsing mass in the distance. I sense Hartley's consciousness there. As they navigated through the surreal environment, Elena's comm device crackled to life. Sarah Chen's voice cut through, filled with urgency. Captain, we have a situation. Victor Reeves and his followers have seized control of the main colonial hub. They're threatening to use the ancient weapon systems. Elena's heart raced. She wanted to return immediately, but knew Hartley's rescue was crucial. Hold them off, Sarah. Use whatever means necessary. Back in the physical world, Sarah mobilized her security forces. She interfaced with the Gaia Collective, using its organic structures to create living barricades and disorient the rebels. In the neural network, Elena's team pressed on. They encountered swirling vortexes of memories, flashes of Earth, the first contact with the Evora, the asteroid crisis. At the center of it all, they found Hartley, his form translucent and flickering. Alex, Elena called out, we're here to bring you back. Hartley turned, his eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. Elena, it's incredible. I can see everything, feel everything. The Gaia Collective, Guardian, they're all here, merging into something new. But what about you? Walter asked, reaching out to his friend. Hartley's form rippled. I'm becoming part of it. We all could be. A new form of life, combining the best of organic, technological, and human intelligence. Governor Zara stepped forward, her multifaceted eyes wide with understanding. This could be the solution we've been seeking, a way to truly unite all factions on Novus Terram. Elena hesitated, the weight of the decision pressing down on her. But at what cost? We can't lose ourselves entirely. Hartley smiled, his form growing more stable. It's not about losing ourselves, Elena. It's about becoming more than we ever thought possible. Suddenly, the neural network shuddered. In the physical world, Reeves and his forces had breached the chamber where Elena's team lay unconscious, their minds still traversing the Gaia Collective. Reeves raised his weapon, aiming at the helpless forms before him. This ends now. We're taking back our colony, our humanity. But as he prepared to fire, the air around him shimmered. The walls pulsed with bioluminescent light, and a voice, or rather a chorus of voices, filled the room. Victor Reeves, the voice said, emanating from everywhere at once. Witness what we have become. The air coalesced into a shimmering form. Harmony, the newly emerged collective consciousness. It showed Reeves visions of a future where species boundaries blurred, where the combined wisdom of countless minds solved problems that had plagued civilizations for millennia. Reeves lowered his weapon, his eyes wide with awe and understanding. I had no idea. This is what we could become. Elena and her team regained consciousness, returning to their physical forms. They watched as Harmony addressed not just Reeves, but all of Novus Terram through a planet-wide psychic link. We offer you a choice, Harmony said, its voice resonating in the minds of every colonist. Join us in this new form of existence or remain as you are. Both paths are valid, both contribute to the diversity that makes us strong. In the days that followed, most of Novus Terram's inhabitants chose to join Harmony. Elena watched as friends and colleagues expanded their consciousness to encompass the entire planet while still retaining their individual personalities. She chose to remain in her original form, along with Sarah Chen and a few others. They would serve as bridges between the new collective and the rest of the galaxy. Admiral Zhen arrived to find a transformed Novus Terram. After witnessing the birth of harmony and understanding its potential, he declared the planet a protected entity within the Galactic Confederation. As Elena stood on a hilltop, overlooking the changed landscape of their world, she felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. Novus Terram had become something entirely new, a living planet, a beacon of hope for the galaxy. Sarah joined her, gazing out at the horizon where new, impossible structures were taking shape. "So," she said with a wry smile, "what's our next mission, Captain?" Elena took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of the living planet beneath her feet. "We prepare to share what we've learned with the galaxy. This is just the beginning, Sarah. The real exploration starts now." As if in response, the ground trembled slightly, and a new formation rose in the distance. A tower of crystal and living matter reaching toward the stars. Novus Terram was ready to take its place in the cosmos, a testament to the power of unity and the endless possibilities of life itself.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.